How's it going? So I'm gonna make a very quick video on how does the dopamine engine works. So I've been at it for a while with ChatGPT. So I think I just got to the bottom line where I can easily explain how it works. Now the reason why I'm making this is because I realized that for a very long period of time I was doing it completely incorrectly. So what I was doing is I was building and demotivating myself by I was doing things that actually do the reverse of what I wanted to do. It's kind of one of those, I call them critical counterintuitives, where you think it makes sense that what you do should produce such a result, but it actually works in reverse. There are a few things in life that work like this, and this is unfortunately one of them. So I'll link the chat in the description below, and I'll explain it. How do you motivate yourself and be like super jacked to do simple things? And I'll explain to you exactly how your dopamine engine works. 1 second. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand is that there are two types of systems that people have. Well, there is one system, but it can be in two different states. One is when you have stable system, and one where you have damaged system. Okay, we'll get into how do you get, I will build you the path to this system, and I will build you the path to this system so you know what to do, what not to do. So in a stable system of a person who has a stable, we can call it well-oiled system. And this will be damaged, overstimulated system, okay? In a well-oiled system, well, okay, another concept you need to understand is everybody has baseline dopamine level. And it's usually something like 100. We're just going to use 100 as a measure, okay? Now, why is this baseline? Why does it exist? Because your brain needs to learn what to do and what not to do. Okay? So if you do an activity like eating is like 130. So it compares baseline dopamine to eating, and it says, okay, this is higher than my baseline, so therefore this activity is good. Let's say smashing yourself with a hammer. Okay, that feels very bad, so it's gonna be like 10. It's going to compare baseline is 100, smashing yourself with a hammer is 10. Do not do this, not good. Do you understand? So it uses this system to self-regulate and learn what to do and what not to do. Okay, so this is one thing you need to understand. 1 second. Okay, so now you understand the baseline. I'm not gonna get into, because that kind of understanding the baseline, I went on the rabbit hole and I realized it's not that important to know how to work this mechanism. Just know that there is baseline, and that's how the system compares what to do, what not to do. There are different learning mechanisms, stuff like that, and there is also homeostasis. I'm not gonna get into it because it's not that important. Again, I'll link the chat in the description below, so you can see, you can read. It's very long, so I'm not gonna get into it, right? Okay, so in a stable oiled system, when you have, let's say, activity, whatever you want to call it, let's say, I don't know, reading, okay, well, not call it any activity, let's just call it activity, okay, let's say 105. Now your brain will compare 100 base to 105, and it will produce certain amount of pleasure. So let's call it pleasure utils. Pleasure points, okay? Pleasure points. Okay? in a well-oiled system, this difference in 5 will produce, let's say, 100 points of pleasure. So you are motivated to do it, to do this activity, whatever it may be. Okay, so this is very important to understand. In a well-oiled system. In a damaged system, same process, activity also 105, produces 0 units of pleasure. Because your body is so desensitized, it cannot detect the difference between this and this. Okay? So this is why this system is not going to work. That's why this system is with people who are junkies, people who are addicts, okay? Because they have overstimulated and burned their receptors to such degree where unless you are hitting them with 500, which will produce probably like 50, they will not be able to feel it at all. That's why everyday tasks don't do anything for these people. So this is this system which is completely damaged. And this system which is well oiled, where tiny spikes, tiny activities like eating an apple makes you feel like you are jacked. Oh my god, all this sugar. Like, that's what I'm telling you. Like, for example, that's why I tell people, don't eat crisps. Because what crisps do, they desensitize your tongue receptors. And when you eat apple, your tongue receptors are so desensitized, you cannot feel the sugar in it. So therefore you have 0 pleasure from it. 0. Because your receptors are burned. So the key to this whole thing is not to increase the stimulus, because what happens with crisps, right? You eat crisps, at some point your body will become resistant to crisps as well. So then, well, we'll call this crisps. You're gonna have to, now crisps do not produce, they don't produce anything, right? Now you have to hit it with crisps and fizzy drinks and League of Legends. At that point, it will start producing 90. Do you understand what I'm saying? At this point, eating anything other than crisps gives you no, you won't feel, it's like eating paper, because your receptors are getting burned. They keep getting burned and burned. At some point, that's what people try to, what do they try to do? They try to pile more stimulus on top of it. Okay, they go 3,000. I don't know, it's like people, he playing League of Legends, he's watching pumping music, he's watching YouTube at this. I saw a kid and I was like, oh my Jesus Christ. There was a kid, I think, I don't remember where I saw this video. He was chatting to somebody, playing League of Legends at the same time, watching memes, and drinking Monster drink and eating crisps all at the same time. I thought to myself, okay, this guy will never be able to read a book in his lifetime, because he is so burned out. Like, his receptors are just gone. Okay, so now we're gonna pause in here, and we need to talk about why does your system. Okay, so one thing we need to think about is, let me just think, hold on a sec. I'm still thinking, 1 second. Okay, so the next question is, why does the body lose ability to detect small changes? All right, body has a natural mechanism. It does it for balancing. Like, your body is a very, very adaptive mechanism. All right, like the best way I can think about it, like I thought about it, and think about, 1 sec, let me just. Okay, so I'll explain it with this picture. Think about hardening of the skin. Like, your body needs 2 mechanisms. It needs to know, again, remember I told you, like, body needs to know. Let's create a new slide. It needs to have ability to learn what to do and what not to do. Okay, so it needs to have some form of mechanism to detect change. Okay, so if you are bombarding yourself with stuff that is 1000 to 2000 range, think about like range. Okay, we can go from 1000 to 2000. In this type of sensitivity, detecting 1 unit of change is very difficult. So it cannot tell the difference between 1000 and 1001. Think of volume. Like, well, volume probably is it's very, I don't know, I'm trying to explain it. It's just, it's kind of hard concept to grasp with. Think about hardened skin and soft skin. If you have very, very soft skin, it's very easy to detect changes, right? If you have hard skin, it's very hard to detect changes. So, but why does body create hard skin? And that is to protect. It's kind of like what happens in your environment will dictate adaptation of your body. It's very, very simple. I don't know, it's I understand it, but for high school kids it's going to be very hard to understand. It's like your body adapts to anything that is outside in your environment. So if the music too loud, it will desensitize your ear so that it can on daily basis listen to this super loud music without breaking. Because you have to understand that your body needs to survive and keep itself like continuously going. So if you're continuously lifting heavy rocks, having sensitive skin makes no sense for you, because you will simply damage the skin over time and your hand will be wrecked, right? So what does the body do? Body starts hardening your skin over time so that you can continue to perform the same task without being damaged. It's the same with loud music. The more you listen to loud music, your body will start to desensitize and harden your hearing so that you can continuously listen to this loud music, right? So it's the same thing with very heavy crisps. If you continue to eat extremely heavy hitting super overflavored food, it will start, just like with hands, hardening the receptors so that otherwise you're going to burn them out. You're going to damage them. And the body needs to make sure that you are there tomorrow, right? That you are not... Because imagine lifting rocks with super sensitive skin. After 3 days, your hands are going to be bleeding. You will not be able to perform this task. So your body will naturally start adapting itself. It's the same mechanism in muscle building, right? With your standard muscles, you cannot bench press 200 kilos at all, right? So over time, it will build bigger muscles so you can then do the things you need to do in your environment. It's a adaptive mechanism that your body keeps. So in the world of dopamine receptors, this mechanism works a little bit against you. Because if your body thinks, oh my God, this guy is hitting me with cocaine every single day, I need to desensitize his receptors so I can detect small changes, right? So if you're hitting yourself with cocaine, let's say, I don't know, the simpler way to explain it will be 400, right? Like baseline is 100, cocaine is 400, let's say food is, well, let's do it in here. So your base is 100, cocaine is 400, and then food is 130. So now you see, detecting from 100 to 130 is very difficult for the body because the ranges here is so high. So what it does is, it's called, there is a word for it, I don't remember, it's just like downgrades, right? So it takes your base and it converts it into 10. So now when you eat food, the difference between 10 and 130 is close to, because think about base versus cocaine is 300 difference. Base versus food is 30 difference. This is too small if you're hitting yourself with this type of dopamine spikes. So what it does is it lowers the base. So now food is 130, your base is 10, 120. You see, so now this is in line with the type of ranges. So now we can say, okay, he ate food. Baseline is 10, food is 130. Go do food, right? But preferably go do cocaine. That's kind of how your brain is going to behave, all right? And then what happens is, over time, the only thing you can detect is cocaine. At some point, food stops. And also you have to, well, we need to start thinking about cocaine as well, because cocaine is an adaptive mechanism. Eventually, you will have to increase the doses of cocaine to get the same hit, right? So what happens is, it's like a vortex of death where you keep increasing. At that point, your food, even if it goes base to 1, it still doesn't feel like anything, because like you got to be hitting yourself with a lot of cocaine at that point. Like it basically hardens your skin to the degree where you don't feel anything unless it's like a gigantic chisel or like a chainsaw hitting your skin, right? Otherwise you won't be able to feel it. It's exactly the same mechanism, only it happens inside your brain. Okay, so that's kind of that's why in these systems you are kind of doomed. So the core to this whole thing is not to find better stimulus. The core to the thing is, how do I make my system more sensitive so that any change is very well detected? So that if I go from 100 to 102, I produce 100 units of pleasure, because the system is so sensitive. So in here you kind of have to do reverse of this, because we want to have skin that is so soft, any touch makes you feel, you can feel it and you're like, oh wow, right? I thought about it like another way to think about it is a well-oiled car. Think about a well-oiled car. Small amount of force in this car moves it very long distance because it's so efficient. On a damaged car, it's like rusty, like brakes, there's friction with the brakes. You need a massive amounts of force just to move it. So we do not want to have an old rusty car. We want to have a well-oiled car. All right, so things that will make your dopamine receptors very sensitive would be things like sleeping well, diet, exercise, goal-driven behavior. Also, dopamine is all about anticipation, okay? So you can build, for example, task equals reward mechanisms. So for example, I do 25 questions for my revisions equals eat a banana, right? So now I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, I'm motivated to do it because I want to eat the banana. I finish my questions, I get the banana. Like, so put tiny rewards and your brain will reward you. Like you want to kind of build the mechanism where small effort, small reward, small effort, small reward, and it becomes very sensitive. Honestly, it's identical system to the tongue. Because right now, if I eat an apple, like I feel just overwhelming joy, and especially like well-ripped bananas or apples or pears, it's like, yeah, I just detect it so well. It's because the because I don't eat crisps, I don't eat overflavored food, and like it's life-changing experience. It's amazing. And it's the same I noticed, like I stopped playing League of Legends. Again, it's 3 days have passed. I haven't played League for like 4 days now, I think. And again, same thing happens. It's just everyday tasks, just like doing emails and listening to music, now produces pleasure. When you're playing League of Legends, unless you're playing League of Legends, everything else is just kind of sucks, honestly. That's one of the reasons why I don't like League doing my experiments, is because you get into this vortex where you just like, dude, unless you're like playing League and winning every single game, it just doesn't hit you at all. And everything else sucks. That's because you are doing it in reverse. You're trying to increase the stimulus. When winning every single game in League or whatever, when like winning every single league in League is no longer interesting. Like I know a guy, I think what happened to him, he's a Tryndamere main, and he keeps complaining how Tryndamere is weak, how Tryndamere sucks, how every other champion beats him. But he used to play Jax, and he would just smash everyone. I'm talking just decimate everyone. He would go to normals, he could win any normals. He's a rank 1 player. At some point he was rank 1 with Trinda. And I know why he does it now. Because now winning game with Jax no longer gives him stimulus. He wants to now play a shit champion and win anyway. Do you understand? So he is increasing the stimulus all the time. And what happens is his body adapts. Again, it hardens the skin. And now winning every single game with Soraka, tank, no longer feels stimulating. So now he's gonna go for a bigger stimulus, which is, I don't know, play with his legs and win 20 games in a row. Do you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that is just like, dude. Whereas I'm saying like this is not a lasting system, because your body does not like when you do shit like this. Because overstimulating your body, you have to understand, like, think of your body has natural survival mechanisms, like for example your body temperature or your heart rate, right? If you overstimulate those mechanisms, it will try to somehow compensate to keep itself alive. Because think of an engine. If you understimulate it, it's not going to work. If you overstimulate it, it's going to blow up, right? So your body, when you do shit like this, is going to prevent itself from blowing up, and it will start developing this type of mechanism where it starts hardening certain elements in your body to compensate, right? So with dopamine, it's actually bad for you, because it's same with food, with your tongue receptors. It's actually bad for you. Overeating crisps all the time and turning your tongue into something like this, where the only thing you can feel is like, unless it's like a sugar nuclear bomb with fat and grease in it, you won't be able to feel. And it's like salt is just like everywhere. You don't feel it, right? That's bad for you. It's very, very bad for you, because you now kind of messed up the mechanism. This mechanism is very good in bodybuilding. Excellent. Works there perfectly, right? You want to build muscle mass, you want to build muscles, put on more weight, so that now after benching 200 kilos, 10 kilos no longer feel like anything, right? That's good. In that environment, that is good. But when it comes to eating food, overstimulating your tongue results in you not tasting an apple, is very bad, because food is essential for your survival, and we know that healthy food is not exactly gonna be a box of Pringles with Coca-Cola, right? So you do not. ChatGPT said one very important thing. One sec. Well, it said reduce competing dopamine spikes, but that's not really what I wanted to. It's not that important to this. It's not that important. The most important thing is, how do you create a system where small changes, like for example eating an apple, produces massive amounts of pleasure points, as opposed to how can I just bombard myself with sugar bomb so I get pleasure points again. Because this is a not a sustainable system, because you're just gonna you're gonna run out of you're gonna simply run out of stimulants because of this process. You see, because you will keep hardening and hardening and hardening your skin. That's how people can break baseball bats with their legs, right? Their skeleton, their bones became so thick that they can now break a baseball bat, right? Which is, I don't know, if you are a fighter in the, what is that called, the KFC, UFC thingy, which is probably a good thing in there. But for food and for dopamine receptors, it's very, very bad. So again, we're going down this route here, which is the usual, like keep your body healthy, sleep well, diet. Again, the Triforce, right? Because it always goes down to the Triforce. Excellent sleep, excellent diet, exercise, and this is something that you probably need to study yourself, which is goal-driven behavior. Always know why you're doing it, set up the goal. Once you hit the goal, reward yourself, and then micro rewards as well, where you constantly reward yourself with small, tiny, kind of space it. Like, why games are rewarding? Because they don't tell you, hey, go finish the game. They usually have some kind of quest, some kind of goal. Once you get the goal, you get the reward. Again, you complete the quest, you get the reward. So you can do that in real life as well, which is very easy to do. I don't know. Finish the task, go eat a yogurt. Finish a task, get a cup of coffee. Or drink coffee while you're not exercise, but doing your study. Finish the study, go eat cottage cheese. Like, I like cottage cheese, so go eat that cottage cheese, right? So you need to kind of go through a little bit of study to understand what motivates you and what doesn't break your system at the same time. So I know that League is gonna break my system, right? So I kind of stay away from it. I do it occasionally for my little experiments, just to zone out of something, but overall. And also I wanted to answer the questions, which was, can you actually carry in League of Legends? Can you sit down and win every single game if your skill gets high enough? And the answer is no. Without dodging, it's impossible. So then the question is, how much dodging do I have to do? And the answer is a lot. And then also the system works against you, where you have this engagement optimized difficulty dynamic adjustment system, where the more you play, the worse it gets for you. So it becomes even bigger waste of time. And at that point, I just say, no. It's just, the game is just not for me. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. I only see myself playing against bots at this stage, because it satisfies all the criteria I have for the game, which is I want to level up an account to level 30. I did some analysis. Against bots, you actually gain more experience than winning and losing games on average. Because, I don't know, there's some kind of a mechanism. I think if you start the game, you get extra bonus points, and if you finish the game quickly, you get even more points. And against bots, you start level 3 now, and you can finish the game in like 12 minutes. And you surprisingly get higher points, because I averaged out wins and losses per minute, PvP versus PvE versus bots. And PvE, basically you get more points. So my idea was like, I'm just gonna play PvP, do my experiments, and the benefit is that I get higher experience points, so I level up account quicker. But it turns out that against bots you level it up even quicker. So it's like pointless to even play it, right? And against bots you get to play whatever the hell you want. You can play Mastery E, you can build in whatever the hell you want. You can go crit Mastery E, you can go damage Mastery E, like the on hit Mastery E. I don't know, you can play with Deer. I don't even know how the champion works. You still get to win, you still get to experiment, and that's it. And you get your experience points. And also the system is like, if you want to play with humans, go intermediate bots. If you want to play against bots, just play advanced or intro bots, and you're gonna be the only human in the lobby. If you go intro or advanced bots. Intermediate, there's mostly humans with you, sometimes bots, but mostly humans. But so you see, like, there is any experience to cater for anything that you want. And then if I want to be like the main character on the map, I just create a custom lobby where I put myself. On my side, I put intermediate, intro bots, and then on the enemy team, I put intermediate bots, and I put like champs like, I don't know, Trundle, Mundo, Ramus, Amumu, stuff like that. That is like for Trinda, where they just like literally all 5 like run at you and just like press buttons. Because it's not that different to playing against bronze and iron players, because that's what they do as well. And then you can just play it out and be the main boss, where you just pentakill them all the time. And that's it. You see, like at that point, there's nothing left in the game for me to do. And that's it, right? And that does not burn my dopamine receptors, because one thing that is, there was a dude, he's a BF Skinner. Variable ratio reinforcement schedule. That is the most powerful dopamine booster. Remember I talked about rats and mice, where if you give them a lever, right? They click on the lever and they get certain amount of dopamine. They don't know whether they get it or not, and they don't know the amount, right? And some rats ended up dying because they just kept pressing the lever. They stopped wanting to eat. They start wanting to do anything other than press that button. So you see the formula in here is random reward and random amount. So this is yes, no, and this is how much. Surprise, surprise, League of Legends, right? Are you gonna win the game? You don't know, yes or no. Are you gonna smurf on the enemy, or are you gonna be like average, or are you gonna lose? So this, if you're smurfing, you get high. If you're not smurfing, you get low. And this is win equals yes, you got the dopamine. Loss equals no, you did not get the dopamine. Alright, so I'm telling you, mouse killed themselves pressing this button. So now you see humans and you wonder, this guy is now challenger and he's still playing. So that's why I said League is a little bit like a casino. And they use this type of mechanism, which I think is... And those loot boxes. Surprisingly enough, ChatGPT immediately said loot boxes. And they say, oh my god, I don't know, like, that's why I think it's a little bit of a deceptive, maybe, it's just my opinion, is that when, you know, these companies, they put those lovely spokespersons who are like, you know, oh, we're like here for the kids and we're like Santa Claus and all that jazz, right? And yet they put loot boxes and this type of systems into the game for minors. Do you understand? It's like at some point Coca-Cola had actual cocaine in it. Like just understand how evil must be a system where they advertise as a loving character that they're here to help and enrich that person's life, and what they stick into the substance is cocaine. It's like, I don't know, I draw the line on stuff like that. I say it's like, it's immoral. In my opinion, it's immoral. That's why I say it, like, League should be like cigarettes. There should be a big warning that says, hey, this shit is very bad for you. Do not do it. If you do, you will pay the ultimate price. But honestly, like, they kind of published on their how the matchmaking system works. I already made a video on this, and it's exactly like I described, and they don't hide it. And it's obvious. Like, I mean, at no point do they say that they don't manipulate. They like, when they did the presentation, they said that, hey, all of our games are to monetize and we want to maximize monetization of every game. So obviously they're not going to be there to help you become a professional gamer. They're there to make money, right? Anyway, that's besides the point. So don't be doing this. So let's talk about how do you create this system? How do you destroy basically reverse of this? Bad sleep, bad diet, no exercise, and then overstimulate products and activities. Basically, if you do, like, again, like this way to think about it is crisps versus apple. If you eat crisps, you just cannot taste. You lose ability to taste rice. You lose ability to taste potatoes. The only thing you can taste now is Nutella, Monster drink, Coca-Cola, crisps. Like anything that is, like 400, 500, 600. At which point, it's fine for a period of time, and then it's going to become like this. Your receptors are going to become desensitized. Your baseline is going to drop to like 1, where every single minute living sucks unless you are jamming yourself with caffeine, sugar, stimulants, memes on YouTube, adult content, some scandals, anything that is extremely like massive stimulants to your brain, which is again going to work for a little bit. Your body hardens again, and then the cycle keeps going where you have to now increase that again. At that point, it's basically it will take you like months to, I call it detoxing your brain. Basically, it will take you months. So just picture that for like a couple of days and weeks, possibly. It will definitely be better than anything in here, for sure. Right? But then over time, you stop deriving pleasure from any activities in here, and the activities that you used to do no longer feel like anything because your body just desensitizes itself. And you have to do it, like your body has to do it to protect itself. But there's no other way to do it. And then you have to go into the vortex where now you have to figure out how do I even increase it further, which is you're just gonna break the system basically. That's what the addicts basically become, is just they just broke their system, and then it takes years and years like to restore it. And then that's about it. So okay, so the core to the whole thing is just, I'll summarize it in this, like this is for me, this is like the biggest summary of this whole thing, is that the idea is not to increase the stimulus from the whatever you're inputting into the system. The key is to increase the sensitivity of your dopamine receptors, so that small change is very easily detected and produces large amount of motivation and pleasure points. And the way you do that is through sleeping well, good diet, exercise, goal-driven behavior, and building micro rewards so that you are motivated. Like, again, dopamine is anticipation chemical, right? So there are a bunch of mechanisms. Again, I'll link the chat, you can see it for yourself. But if you are anticipating a reward, you are very, very motivated to do it. So you can work with future goals as well. That's why setting goals also works, is because your brain knows how to channel energy, and it has this like what it thinks the reward is going to be and what the reward actually is. And then if it's what you thought it is if the reward is higher than what you thought it is, you'll get even more motivation. But anyway, if you have future goals set, your brain starts producing dopamine as well. So you need to kind of, it needs to know why you're doing it, and then it will work with you. So like systems in here, they work with your body. Systems in here, it's kind of like putting a torpedo on a rusty old car. You're just gonna break it. Now it will go fast in the first couple of kilometers, but then you'll not get it to the finish line. If I'm talking about long term, if because again, like humans live like 100 years now, 120 years, so you have to understand like your system needs to be well tuned and well oiled. Otherwise, you're gonna end up like averaging out like, I don't know, 77 years. It's just, it's so, I don't know, like with our biotechnologies in today's world, with our technological revolutions, with the type of medicine that we have, I think like 120 is very easy for humans to do. But if your goal is like 60, I don't know, 70 years, then by all means you can use this. Your body is strong enough to probably, assuming you have normal genetics. But I don't know, this system sucks, because I look at people who use this type of system and I feel sorry for them. Like, I just feel sorry for them. They will never feel the joy of just jamming yourself like a pig with apples and be like in ecstasy. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like so easy, it's so cheap, so easy, and it doesn't damage anything. After that, I can watch like a movie, normal movie, and I'm completely in. As opposed to this kid who is like, dude, he's drinking Monster drink, he's chatting, watching memes, playing League, eating crisps, all at the same time. You're just gonna burn your receptors, and then that's it. You're gonna become like super desensitized, and then life is gonna suck. So this is like short-term gain, long-term pain, whereas this is like sustainable long-term pleasure and fulfillment. So just be aware how to build this system. Okay, take care, bye-bye.